Hello and welcome back. This video, which is sponsored by my own wallet, is about a very special knife that I've wanted for so long. We've had on this channel Swedish knives, American knives, Chinese knives, and Swiss knives, of course. Today is Italy's turn. And this is a very special knife because it's made by a very well-known knife maker in Italy, Nino Nista. This is the SARACCA, and I'm your uncle. I know what you're thinking. The design looks very old, and it is in a way. 200 years old, to be more specific. In Italy, it was a very popular knife, and Mr. Nista still makes this particular design among a few others. I leave a link in the description for you to check his catalog. Those knives are beautiful, by the way, and he makes this knife the way it was made 200 years ago. Aside from the materials, the steel, which is very modern, we will talk about that later. When I say that this was very popular in Italy, from what I've learned is that at the time, everybody had a knife on them, even if it was illegal, for work, farming, for example, and sometimes for very less noble tasks. The knife doesn't come in a box. It comes in this little pouch, which is very nice, very well made, but it's not too comfortable when you want to carry the knife with you. The name of the knife is taken from a fish, the brim fish, because the blade resembles the shape of that fish. And this is the small version. Mr. Nista makes two of them. The other is slightly larger, but this is the one that I wanted because it's, as you can see, it's not too big. Yet the blade is one of the longest I have. Speaking of folding knives, of course. The blade is 95 millimeters long and 2 millimeters thick. The shape of the blade is beautiful, if you ask me. It's my favorite among the folding knives that I have reviewed here on the channel. As you probably know by now, when I buy a knife, I reprofile the blade to a 40 degrees overall angle, and then I strop it and keep it like that. On this side of the blade, I'm sure you will see that because I tried it before. Here it is. This is the knife maker's name, Nino. Now I'm sure you're looking at this little thing up here. Now the blade is locking, but the type of locking mechanism is quite unique. Essentially, it's like a back lock, but it's up here, just at the end of the blade. And to unlock it, you have to pull up this steel bar and release the blade, which locks in a slot up here. Quite an intelligent design. It's very simple but effective. The curl up here helps to lift the steel bar. On some models, there's a ring attached, a large ring, and that makes it even easier to unlock the blade. I don't know which angle Mr. Nista chooses for his knives, but it's very acute. When I reprofiled the knife to apply my well-known 20 degree per side edge, it was very easy because the steel is 420C. I can see why he chose a steel that is not considered a super steel, because it's very easy to sharpen. It gets very sharp, shaving sharp. And of course, it's not a super steel, but it's really quick to sharpen. It takes a minute, even less than that. I mostly only use my strop nowadays, and it takes 10 seconds, 15 seconds on the strop, and the edge is completely restored. I told you about this curl. Now let me show you how to unlock it. Well, the way I do it. I hold the blade with my left hand, then I very slowly pull up. You see the steel bar that holds the blade in place, and then I close the knife like this. On other models, as I told you, there's a steel ring here, which makes it easier to pull and lift the lock. Once you've done it a few times, it's very easy. At first, it looks a little weird. And the steel bar, I'm sure you can see that, the steel bar is bent over here. So when you open it, it catches the tab here in a second, and with a very satisfying click. I hope you can hear it. There's no blade play at all. I mean, the locking mechanism is very safe, very secure. The blade doesn't move at all, doesn't bend. It's solid. It's rock solid. I was very surprised. I knew how these knives work, but having one, handling one, I see why these knives were so popular at the time, and the design is still Still perfect even for today's standards. You should really check their catalog. They make, I guess, 10, not even 10 models, all regional knives from Italy. Very different in size. Some have a locking system, some others don't. They only have a spring. They're all beautiful though, all beautiful. Now that I got this one, I'm thinking that I could get a couple more. But I'll be a good boy, don't worry. I will wait a month at least before buying another one. They're so beautiful, they're just so beautiful. Don't tell me you don't like it, because I know that's a lie. The handle in particular. And the fact that it doesn't have a finger guard up here means that you must be very, very careful. So, important safety tip, don't stab nothing. Don't stab people, objects. Don't stab yourself. That's very important. I told you the knife comes in this little pouch here. I was looking for a sheath. They don't make one, specific one for the model. So I just dug around and ended up buying a pocket knife sheath from Böker. Here's their logo. I hope you can see that. Now, not exactly my favorite design, because in the back the belt loop is not stitched. There's a magnet, and it looks weird at first. Now I realize that they intended for it to simply be put in a pocket, and when you have to get the knife, you take the holster out of your pocket, and then the knife out of the holster. Not a bad idea, maybe not my favorite, but not a bad idea. Anyway, I just bought it, and I was pleasantly surprised to see that it fits perfectly. The knife sits in there, it won't fall, it won't move, it's a very good holster. I'm still looking for something better. Now, in terms of maintenance, the steel is 420C, so it simply doesn't require much. Just keep it clean, of course, and dry. The handle, well, the handle, I don't know how fragile the handle is. Horn, I'm not very familiar with it, but it looks pretty tough. Now the screw here that keeps the steel bar, the locking bar, attached to the handle, that can be tightened if it gets a little loose. And that's a good thing to have. The rest of the knife, these are all pins, so I'm sure that if you're good with your hands, you can do something to it. Yet I don't think you will have to. There is no blade play at all. I'm a big fan of simplicity. I find it elegant, and this knife is very simple and elegant to me. The first time I saw it was on a website, a knife forum, and somebody was talking about these knives, so I searched and found out that there are many knife makers in Italy who make these regional knives from 200 years ago or so, and I chose Mr. Nista because what I've read about him, people kept saying good things about him, how good it was at knife making, and how good his knives were. So I simply said, I will try, I'll order one. And choosing was not too easy. Again, I'll leave you a link in the description box. Check their website, because even if it's just a small number of models, they all look different. I wanted to buy them all. I couldn't. I wanted to try one first, and I went for this one, the SARACCA. It's a very beautiful knife. I'm using it because you know that I use the knives. I don't collect knives, I just keep using them. And it's a pleasure to use, a very pleasure to use, very easy to clean. The only thing that you must pay attention to is, of course, that happens with all folding knives, is the space between the blade and the handle. Some dirt could collect there. So far it's been a pleasure to use. And it's only 70 grams. It's very light, I forgot to tell you this. It's very light. It's a featherweight. A beautiful knife with a very long blade. Actually, this is the longest blade I have. I have many folding knives. You can check the other reviews, of course, and you'll see that they are all around 7 to 9 centimeters. This is a 9.5 centimeters, but it doesn't feel that long. It doesn't feel that big. The larger version of this is pretty huge. I don't know, if you're looking for a knife that you can actually carry and use, probably the smaller versions are a better choice, but of course, whatever takes your fancy. I'll open it one more time just because I like the click. I love it. The SARACCA by Nino Nista. Let me know what you think of this knife, these regional knives, and if you have any questions, of course, ask, comment, subscribe to the channel, please, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you for watching. I'm your uncle.